Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Naranarayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I pray that I may be able to speak something of value that is pleasing to my Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. We have verses from, if you can pull up on your devices, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service, and verses from 23 to 29. And the focus verse today is verses 28 and 29. So because these purports are so beautiful, we will touch on them. So we'll start with 28 and 29, the Sanskrit, and then we'll go over all the purports and translations. So 28 and 29. Vasudeva Paraveda Vasudeva Paramakha Vasudeva Parayoga Vasudeva Parakriya Vasudeva Param Jnanam Vasudeva Param Tapa Vasudeva Paro Dharmo Vasudeva Paragati. Please chant. Vasudeva Paraveda Vasudeva Paramakha Vasudeva Parayoga Vasudeva Parakriya Vasudeva Param Jnanam Vasudeva Param Tapa Vasudeva Paro Dharmo Vasudeva Paragati. Vasudeva Paraveda Vasudeva Paramakha Vasudeva Parayoga Vasudeva Parakriya Vasudeva Param Jnanam Vasudeva Param Tapa Vasudeva Paro Dharmo Vasudeva Paragati. Vasudeva Paraveda Vasudeva Paramakha Vasudeva Parayoga Vasudeva Parakriya Vasudeva Param Jnanam Vasudeva Param Tapa Vasudeva Paro Dharmo Vasudeva Paragati. We'll go over the synonyms together. Vasudev, the personality of Godhead. Para, the ultimate goal. Veda, revealed scriptures. Vasudev, the personality of Godhead. Para, for worshipping. Makha, sacrifices. Vasudev, the personality of Godhead. Para, the means of attaining. Yoga, mystic paraphernalia. Vasudev, the personality of Godhead. Para, under his control. Kriya, fruit of activities. Vasudev, the personality of Godhead. Param, the supreme. Jnanam, knowledge. Vasudev, the personality of Godhead. Param, best. Tapa, austerity. Vasudev, the personality of Godhead. Para, superior quality. Dharma, religion. Vasudev, the personality of Godhead. Para, ultimate. Gati, goal of life. We can see how many different translations of para we have in this verse. So the translation, we'll just go over it and then we'll read together all of them. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto him. He is the supreme goal of life. Whoever has the microphone, would you like to start with translation 223?
The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three modes of material nature, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts the three qualitative forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness.
Thank you. So from here, in the purport, that Lord Krishna, by his plenary parts, should be rendered devotional service, as explained above, is confirmed by this statement. Lord Sri Krishna and all his plenary parts are Vishnu Tattva, or the Lordship of Godhead. From Sri Krishna, the next manifestation is Baladev. From Baladev is Sankarshan. Sankarshan is Narayan. From Narayan, there is second Sankarshan, and from this Sankarshan, the Vishnu Purusha avatars. And some points here. Vishnu is manifested by his millions and billions of integrated forms and separated forms. The integrated forms are called Godhead, and the separated forms are called living entities or jivas. Both jivas and Godhead have their original spiritual forms. Jivas are sometimes subjected to control of material energy, but Vishnu forms are always controllers of this energy. Such living beings appear in the material world with the intention of being lords, and thus they become entrapped by the three modes of nature. So I'm just highlighting some, these purports are very beautiful, but just highlighting some of the points that stood out to me. Lord Vishnu is worshipped by devotional service only, and if anyone has to continue the life in the material world, he may ask for relative facilities for temporary benefit or relief from different demigods like Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Varuna. No demigod, however, can release the imprisoned living being from the conditioned life of material existence. This can be done only by Vishnu. Therefore, the ultimate benefit may be derived from Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Verse 24.
Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than the raw wood. And fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, passion, rajas, is better than ignorance, tamas, but goodness, sattva, is best because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth.
So in this purport also, actually I'll just read out most of this purport. As explained above, one can get release from the conditioned life of material existence by devotional service to the personality of Godhead. It is further comprehended herein that one has to rise to the platform of the mode of goodness so that one can be eligible for the devotional service of the Lord. But if there are impediments on the progressive path, anyone, even from the platforms of tamas, can gradually rise to the sattva platform by the expert direction of the spiritual master. Sincere candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such a progressive march, and the bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct a disciple from any stage of life, tamas, rajas, or sattva. It is a mistake, therefore, to consider the worship of any quality or any form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as equally beneficial. Except Vishnu, all separated forms are manifested under the conditions of material energy, and therefore the forms of material energy cannot help anyone to rise above the platform of to rise to the platform of sattva, which alone can liberate a person from material bondage. So in these purports, Srila Prabhupada has clearly explained that only the worship of Vishnu can bring us to the mode of goodness. And a spiritual master who's expert, we should seek out a spiritual master who's expert, because our spiritual masters, no matter what stage we're at, we could be in the mode of passion or ignorance, but when our spiritual masters see the stage we're at, he can very expertly bring us to the stage of goodness. 25.
Previously, all the great sages rendered service unto the personality of Godhead due to his assistance above the three modes of material nature. They worship him to become free from material conditions and thus derive the ultimate benefit. Whoever follows such great authorities is also eligible for liberation from the material world.
We can go to the purport of this also. The purpose of performing religion is neither to profit by material gain, nor to gain simple knowledge of discerning matter from spirit. The ultimate aim of religious performances is to release oneself from the material bondage and regain the life of freedom in the transcendental world, where the personality of Godhead is the Supreme Person. So this is what I felt like stood out. And then there was another section here. Therefore, except for the Mahajans or the authorized agents of the Lord, no one knows the purpose of religion. There are 12 particular agents of the Lord who know the purpose of religion, and all of them render transcendental service unto him. Persons who desire their own good may follow these Mahajans and thus attain the supreme benefit. Verse 26.
Those who are serious about liberation are certainly non-envious, and they respect all. Yet they reject the horrible and ghastly forms of the demigods and worship only the all-blissful forms of Lord Vishnu and his plenary portions.
Okay, so here, just all demigods who are empowered by the Supreme Lord are also separated parts and parcels. They do not belong to the categories of Vishnu Tattva. It is for this reason only that candidates for liberation deliberately reject the worship of the demigods, although they have no disrespect for any one of them. 27.
Those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance worship the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigods who are in charge of cosmic activities, for they are urged by a desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny.
Okay. And then we come to verses 28 and 29. Translation. Okay. Sure.
In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by Him only. He is the supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know Him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto Him. He is the supreme goal of life.
Can we continue with the purport also? First paragraph.
That Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is the only object of worship. That Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is the only object of worship is confirmed in these two slokas. In the Vedic literature, there is the same objective, establishing one's relationship and ultimately reviving our lost loving service unto Him. That is the sum and substance of the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita, the same theory is confirmed by the Lord in His own words. The ultimate purpose of the Vedas is to know Him only. All the revealed scriptures are prepared by the Lord through His incarnation in the body of Srila Vyasadeva, just to remind the fallen souls, conditioned by material nature, of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. No demigod can award freedom from material bondage. That is the verdict of all the Vedic literatures. Impersonalists who have no information of the personality of Godhead minimize the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord and put Him on equal footing with all other living beings. And for this act, such impersonalists get freedom from material bondage only with great difficulty. They can surrender unto Him only after many, many births in the culture of transcendental knowledge.
Thank you. So in this first paragraph, Srila Prabhupada has established the objective, establishing one's relationship and ultimately reviving our lost loving service unto Him. And that is the sum and substance of the Vedas. The next paragraph, Prabhu, if you want to like to read. Establishing the purpose of the Vedas.
One may argue that the Vedic activities are based on sacrificial ceremonies. That is true. But all such sacrifices are also meant for realizing the truth about Vasudeva. Another name of Vasudeva is Yagna, sacrifice. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that all sacrifices and all activities are to be conducted for the satisfaction of Yagna or Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. This is the case also with the yoga systems. Yoga means to get in touch with the Supreme Lord. The process, however, includes several bodily features such as asana, dhyana, pranayama and meditation, and all of them are meant for concentrating upon the localized aspect of Vasudeva represented as Paramatma. Paramatma realization is but partial realization of Vasudeva, and if one is successful in that attempt, one realizes Vasudeva in full. But by ill luck, most yogis are stranded by the powers of mysticism achieved through the bodily process. Ill-fated yogis are given a chance in the next birth by being placed in the families of good learned brahmanas or in the families of rich merchants in order to execute the unfinished task of Vasudeva realization. If such fortunate brahmanas and sons of rich men properly utilize the chance, they can easily realize Vasudeva by good association with saintly persons. Unfortunately, such preferred persons are captivated again by material wealth and honor, and thus they practically forget the aim of life.
So in these two verses, Prabhupada has outlined how the goal for all sacrifice is Vishnu, and the goal for all yoga is also Vasudeva. And then he goes further down. Anybody, whoever would like to continue.
This is also so for the culture of knowledge. According to Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 items in culturing knowledge. By such culture of knowledge, one becomes gradually prideless, devoid of vanity, non-violent, forbearing, simple, devoted to the great spiritual master, and self-control. By culture of knowledge, one becomes unattached to hearth and home and becomes conscious of the miseries due to death, birth, old age, and disease. And all culture of knowledge culminates in devotional service to the personality of Godhead Vasudev. Therefore, Vasudev is the ultimate aim in culturing all different branches of knowledge. Culture of knowledge leading one to the transcendental plane of meeting Vasudev is real knowledge. Physical knowledge in its various branches is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita as agyan, or the opposite of real knowledge. The ultimate aim of physical knowledge is to satisfy the senses, which means prolongation of the term of material existence and thereby continuance of the threefold miseries. So prolonging the miserable life of material existence is nescience, but the same physical knowledge leading to the way of spiritual understanding helps one to end the miserable life of physical existence and to begin the life of spiritual existence on the plane of Vasudev.
So again here, he's saying how jnana also, the purpose is to know Vasudev. So we went through basically all the tiers, and we left at the same applies to all kinds of austerities?
Yes.
So, go ahead.
The same applies to all kinds of austerities. Tapasya means voluntary acceptance of bodily pains to achieve some higher end of life. Ravana and Hiranyakashipu underwent a severe type of bodily torture to achieve the end of sense gratification. Sometimes modern politicians also undergo severe types of austerities to achieve some political end. This is not actually tapasya. One should accept voluntary bodily inconvenience for the sake of knowing Vasudev, because that is the way of real austerities. Otherwise, all forms of austerities are classified as modes of passion and ignorance. Passion and ignorance cannot end the mysteries of life. Only the mode of goodness can mitigate the threefold mysteries of life. Vasudev and Devaki, the so-called father and mother of Lord Krishna, underwent penitence to get Vasudev as their son. Lord Krishna is the father of all living beings. Therefore, he is the original living being of all other beings. He is the original eternal enjoyer among all enjoyers. Therefore, no one can be his begetting father, as the ignorant may think. Lord Shri Krishna agreed to become the son of Vasudev and Devaki upon being pleased with their severe austerities. Therefore, if any austerities had to be done, they must be done to achieve the end of knowledge, Vasudev.
Yes, and so now we are seeing how even tapasya, we could perform tapasya like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, but that is to no avail. However, tapasya, in order to achieve Vasudev, is the real austerity, just like yoga, jnana, karma, and now tapasya. And this is the last concluding.
Vasudev is the original personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. As explained before, the original personality of Godhead expands himself by innumerable forms. Such expansion of forms is made possible by his various energies. His energies are also multifarious, and his internal energies are superior and external energies inferior in quality. They are explained in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4 through 6 as the para and apara prakritis. So his expansions of various forms, which take place via the internal energies, are superior forms, whereas the expansions which take place via the external energies are inferior forms. The living entities are also his expansions. The living entities who are expanded by his internal potency are eternally liberated persons, whereas those who are expanded in terms of the material energies are eternally conditioned souls. Therefore, all culture of knowledge, austerities, sacrifice, and activities should be aimed at changing the quality of the influence that is acting upon us. For the present, we are all being controlled by the external energy of the Lord, and just to change the quality of the influence, we must endeavor to cultivate spiritual energy. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that those who are Mahatmas, or those whose minds have been so broadened as to be engaged in the service of Lord Krishna, are under the influence of the internal potency, and the effect is that such broad-minded living beings are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord without deviation. That should be the aim of life. And that is the verdict of all the Vedic literatures. No one should bother himself with fruitive activities or dry speculation about transcendental knowledge. Everyone should at once engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Nor should one worship different demigods who work as different hands of the Lord for creation, maintenance, or destruction of the material world. There are innumerable powerful demigods who look over the external management of the material world. They are all different assisting hands of Lord Vasudeva. Even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are included in the list of demigods, but Lord Vishnu, or Vasudeva, is always transcendentally situated. Even though he accepts the quality of goodness of the material world, he is still transcendental to all the material modes. The following example will clear that matter more explicitly. In the prison house, there are prisoners and the managers of the prison house. Both the managers and the prisoners are bound by the laws of the king. But even though the king sometimes comes in the prison, he is not bound by the laws of the prison house. The king is therefore always transcendental to the laws of the prison house, as the Lord is always transcendental to the laws of the material world.
With this, I rest my case. The entire purport is so perfect. I really appreciate our coming back to Canto 1 during the breaks and reviewing these verses again. Because in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Srila Prabhupada has, and the Bhagavatam, so systematically laid out why we are doing, why we are following this process and how we should be following this process. So, Nrsimharupa Prabhu, I'm very happy you're here. When you were giving us a talk, I think maybe a year ago, you were mentioning how in business projects there is a goal, and then there's people, and then there is process and tools. What was the fourth thing? Interpersonal relationships. Goals, roles, process, and interpersonal relationship. And then he asked us the question that for projects to be successful or for projects to fail, what is the most important thing? Interpersonal relationship. Anybody having any other answers? Yeah, say what you think it is. People? Yeah, so there's 4 choices: goals, roles, people, and interpersonal relationship. No, goals, roles, process, and...
And you're asking how to meet the goal?
What, for a project to succeed, what is the most important?
I mean, for me, a project is a goal. I would say processes. If you don't have the right process, there's no way you're going to get the result you want.
Anybody else wants to? Mm-hmm.
It's a combination of all. If you don't have the process and you don't know what the end goal start is, and then you had to have the relationship, building up the relationships with your students, you had to have all 4 of them in different type of combinations.
Great answer, just like a teacher.
Thank you. I think that processes is...
Process?
Yeah, process.
Jagannatha Prabhu, would you like to?
All of them, all of them.
All of them, sure, you can't go wrong with that. Nrsimharupa Prabhu, what was the answer?
It's goals.
It is goals. Can you say why it is goals?
Because if we don't have, if we're not clear on what our goal is, then we can have the best process in the world. We can have really great interpersonal communications. We can be super clear on, well, it's actually very hard to be even clear on roles if you don't have a clear goal. So it's, it starts from being very clear on what your goal is.
And what is the goal according to this verse? Vasudeva paradveda, Vasudeva paramakha, Vasudeva parayoga, Vasudeva parakriya, Vasudeva param jnanam, Vasudeva param tapa, Vasudeva paro dharmo, Vasudeva paragati. So if you look at the way all these verses are organized, he's clearly outlining, okay, why we don't worship demigods, why we should be in the mode of goodness, what is the process, what is the role of the expert spiritual master, and what is the goal. So just by reading few verses, our entire philosophy has been so clearly outlined and beautifully explained. So I was also appreciating the point of the expert spiritual master knowing where the disciple is at. And I can give an example here. My spiritual master is His Holiness Radhanath Swami, and there was a point in time where in my earlier days in Krishna consciousness, I was very interested in becoming a full-time devotee. It would bother me to be called, oh, you're not a full-time devotee, you're like congregation, or you're. So I'm like, no, it's not like I'm not attracted to Krishna part of the time, and only just part of the time I'm, drawn to Krishna, and then I'm doing something else. So it was like a burning desire for me to become a full-time devotee. And so it so happened we were moving from LA to Denver, and Guru Maharaj was visiting, so we kind of stalled. We stopped, we waited for Guru Maharaj to come, and when Guru Maharaj came, when Radhanath Swami, my spiritual teacher, came, I was so excited. I was like, Guru Maharaj, I've resigned from my job, and we're going to Denver. I'm going to be a full-time devotee. And so here he's the purport is saying how the expert spiritual master, he knows we are in the mode of ignorance, passion, or goodness, and accordingly he knows how to guide us. And when I was making this statement to Srila Radhanath Swami, I wasn't humble or humbly seeking guidance. I was making a statement, and he was alarmed, but he was being meek and humble and saying, and how will you survive? And it took us a year and a half, especially for me, to realize, okay, this is what Maharaj was saying. It is not my nature to artificially become the full-time devotee, because it was a badge of honor for me to be that full-time devotee. It was not my nature, and he could see that, but I couldn't. So he, always knows exactly where the disciple is at and will guide them accordingly. And coming to the goal, so I don't read from my notes. I can't say anything. So the goal, as this purport says, is Krishna. We can know Krishna when he reveals himself to us, when we take shelter of an expert spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and serve him and his instructions. His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu says, always better service. So because, over a period of time, we say, okay, Krishna's the goal. Krishna's, serve Krishna, know Krishna. But what does that mean? How do we unpack that? How do we absorb that instruction in our day-to-day activities? So this statement, always better service, or we should always be in the stretch zone. So we're not in our comfort zone, we're not in our stress zone, but we're in the stretch zone. So for me, giving Bhagavatam classes is an austerity. And there are so many other services, but whenever I do have to give Bhagavatam classes, I am in my stretch zone. I am in my zone of little discomfort, and I'm always meditating, okay, what am I going to do? I also, this week, I was so much in my stretch zone and uncomfortable. I requested my husband to step in and give class on Monday so that I could buy myself a little extra time to give class. So I think for me, the understanding is how to make Krishna our goal, follow the guidance of the spiritual master, follow the instructions of, senior devotees, and surround yourself with those devotees who will correct you, who will guide you, who would, not only appreciate you and your qualities, but will also call you out when they see that you're slacking. So I think for me, that is a way where I could always realign myself and be with the mood that always better service and make Krishna and his instructions my goal. There was another point that I wanted to discuss. In these verses, we also noticed how clearly and simply Prabhupada stated why we don't worship the demigods. So I actually have a colleague in my office who actually goes to Bhakti Vriksha, used to go, and one day she came to me at work and she was like, why you Hare Krishnas, in your 10 offenses, you say Shiva and Brahma, they're not in the same level as Vishnu. Why? If you don't have to criticize anybody, you don't have to bring anybody down. And the funny thing is, today in the morning, also during the reading, it was the same point. So I was like, okay, I must mention this point. So I was like shuffling my feet. I was like, oh yes, Shiva is Vaishnava Yatha Shambho. He's the topmost Vaishnava. But this aspect here in this verse where Prabhupada has clarified, what is our goal? If our goal is to get out of this material world, if our goal is to worship Vishnu, serve him, then we respectfully say this is not our goal, and that's why we do not worship other demigods. Not that we have any disrespect for them, but it's just that it's not our goal. So when our goals are very clear, so if you want to study medicine, then you go to the college where they teach medicine. I mean, engineering is also a very wonderful line of education, but we just don't make that our goal. Our goal is medicine. So if we are clear about our goals, then who we worship and why we worship also becomes very clear. So I feel like this was an angle that I could have also explained. Okay, when you're coming to devotees, what is your goal? What is it that you want? It is very nice. Your children want to have cultural experience. Yes, you can get that here and everywhere. Of course, we encourage everyone, but when they start asking sincere questions, we should also be able to answer that very clearly and humbly. Another call out I wanted to make is the importance of hearing and reading, and also the importance of systematic studying. So I have the wonderful opportunity of learning Bhakti Shastri from the Dallas Bhakti Shastri group. And I just want to take a moment to appreciate all the Bhakti Shastri teachers and the organizers and managers. The teachers, we have 5 instructors: Her Grace Nrityakishori Devi, Rasraj Prabhu, Dev Darshan Prabhu, Sakhi Prem Prabhu, and Srinath Krishna Prabhu. They are all excellent teachers. And not only are they excellent teachers, they have other many devotional qualities and ways they contribute to the community. But what I really appreciate about the Bhakti Shastri class is that they are sharing the what they love and appreciate about the scriptures in such a personal and group setting that you can not but appreciate the beauty of the scriptures with your own temple local devotees. So if anybody is looking for a way for systematic study, I will highly recommend the Bhakti Shastri classes that are happening here. It happens on weekends. So they are wonderful teachers, and they are sharing their love of the scriptures. And it's a very beautiful way to systematically study. And there's a big difference, which at my age, I'm just starting. But there's students in there that are my children's age. There's Advik, who's 13, and Sahana, who's 13, and I'm learning with them. But it's never too late. So anybody who wants to start, that's a great place to do systematic study. With that, I would like to hear from everyone what their thoughts on these verses are. Any questions, comments? Nanda Braja Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'd like to make a correction.
Yes, Prabhu.
But first I'd like to start off with thanking you for your humility. Your humility is exemplary. Your class, the way you carry yourself, I appreciate it very, very, very much. And the correction is that you mentioned that you don't see yourself as a full-time devotee. And I think that is your humility, which I do appreciate. But if you could see yourself as I do, or the community, because we talk about each other, that you would understand that we see you definitely as a full-time devotee. And I was thinking that when you said it, and then you mentioned at work that you had this opportunity to talk to this person who came to you to hear about Krishna. Yes, a little challenging question, right? But then you have this experience where Krishna is speaking through Srimad Bhagavatam and the purport, or the reading this morning from Srila Prabhupada, and you see that Krishna is in your life. So please forgive me if I'm being offensive in my correction, but I think that is the truth. And I want to say that in addition, the point of you giving class today and putting this purport to that point of reminding us that we all need to have this goal. We're here as devotees, as a community. And if we can remember this goal of that all of these activities, this yajna, this tapasya, all these things are for pleasing Krishna, then how wonderful would our interactions be? And I really appreciate that, putting those two together. Thank you.
Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for always encouraging all of us.
That was towards the end of the class, you were bringing up the point of having devotees in our life that can correct us and help us and challenge us when we need to be. And it was reminding me of I don't know if it was an arrival address or a class, but Tamal Maharaj was speaking in Australia. And somehow the question came up about, who are devotees' authorities in their life, and that Tamal Maharaj was mentioning that some people will say that, oh, Srila Prabhupada's books, like that's my authority. That's what I use as my authority. And of course, the books are the foundation for us in our spiritual lives. But he was making the point, which I really appreciated, because this would have been in the maybe like 90s or something like that. He's definitely one of the most senior devotees in the movement. And he was making the point that who is helping those devotees to confirm that they've interpreted and understood Srila Prabhupada's books properly. And that he himself would call his god brothers to ask when he was doing something or making a decision or doing something in life, that he would call them to ask, what do you think about it? Is this right? And so I was just appreciating that point, that if we can find those devotees in our life that we trust and develop a relationship with, that can help to guide us and challenge us and to lift us up when we need it. And I think we all need it. We all have our good days and bad days. And but I think this is such a wonderful point that you made. Thank you.
I was also thinking about the answer, another way to answer, the not equating the demigods with Krishna, is that it's out of respect for their position also, because like if somebody were to misrepresent who you are and think, like, let's say, what came to mind as an example, like if every time somebody came to you and said, "Oh, you're my guru." I mean, let's say you had, there were glorifying, there's a phrase that artificial glorification is an offense, actually. Like too much flattery kind of thing is insincere. So when just out of respect for who they are as servants of Krishna, we see them in the right light. And they're more pleased also. The demigods don't want to be seen as Krishna, or so to equate them is an offense to Krishna and to them. And then I was thinking also, then the worshippers of those personalities, they may see, oh, okay, it's actually out of my devotion for them also that I'm seeing them in their true light. Kind of a different angle there.
If you're with your spiritual master or something like that, serving them, and someone tries to say you're like equal to your spiritual master, like how it would make you feel so like whoa, don't you know what I mean? It would be like such a horrible feeling, and you would really like. So in the same way, it's such a good point. They must also feel like, wait, what are you doing? Like, this is Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why are you equating me to him?
Thank you for wonderful points.
Thank you for the wonderful class.
Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. All glories to Guru and Gauranga.